Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox. I would like to welcome you to the Sunday Book Review. The Sunday Book Review is the series where I discuss books which impact the compliance practitioner, the legal professional, and the business professional. I hope you will enjoy this episode. The North Star for every employer, manager, and HR professional is to create a supportive culture where the employees are empowered to reach their full potential. Now more than ever, that objective starts with Ginger, a comprehensive mental health system for employees. Right now, there is little that is more important than mental health in terms of getting the most out of employees. Ginger is reinventing mental health care to provide immediate and on-demand personalized support for your employees. Here's how it works. Ginger brings immediate, high-quality mental health support right from a smartphone. With Ginger, members can connect with behavioral health coaches via text 24/7. This revolutionizes mental health care for employees in terms of having an on-demand access to mental health support. Employees can get help with setting and working towards goals around anxiety, sleep, relationship stress, and much more. For in-depth care, Ginger offers video therapy and psychiatry. Coaches, therapists, and psychiatrists work together to ensure each Ginger member gets seamless care tailored to their lives. Nearly 25 million people around the world have access to the Ginger on-demand mental health system. Sign up your team today. To learn more about how Ginger can support your employees' mental health, visit ginger.com/compliance. That's ginger.com/compliance. The Sunday Book Review for November 28, 2021, the nonfiction edition. Our stories today come from Crime Reads. First up, Our First Civil War, Patriots and Loyalists in the American Revolution by H.W. Brands. Brands' latest history is an engaging, provocative look at the American Revolution and the largely forgotten battle lines it drew within the colonies, dividing neighbors, families, and communities. Our First Civil War is a study of the schism between Americans who wanted to throw off the British rule and those who wanted to stay loyal to the crown. Centuries later, the American Revolution is often taught as a great swelling of popular unrest, but the author shows how fine the distinctions were and how the buildup towards war tore societies apart and created resentments and differences that would be passed down through generations. Next up, American Kleptocracy, How the U.S. Created the World's Greatest Money Laundering Scheme in History by Casey Michel. Michel, a dogged investigative reporter, is as knowledgeable as they come on financial corruption in and around the United States. In his book, he brings it all together. The shell company hubs like Delaware, the real estate bubbles popped up by dirty money, the armies of lobbyists paid to do the bidding of corrupt foreign nationals looking to park their spoils in U.S. assets. Michel makes a convincing case that there has never been an illicit finance system as robust and as versatile as the one the U.S. created, a shadow economy servicing financiers, lobbyists, old money, and the newly corrupted. Next up, by Kevin Birmingham, The Sinner, the Saint, Dostoevsky and the Gentleman Murderer Who Inspired a Masterpiece. The Sinner and the Saint is a meticulously researched and compellingly crafted history of a literary masterpiece, Dostoyevsky's Crime and Punishment. Birmingham traces the many influences and inspirations that drove Dostoevsky along the path from his early days of radical politics to his Siberian exile, where he met and studied criminals and busied himself breaking down their psychologies, to return to St. Petersburg, where he finally began to write this story. The story also covers Pierre-François Lassanier, the notorious gentleman killer whose exploits in Paris lit up the news in Russia and captured Dostoevsky's imagination as he created his own distinctly Russian version of the would-be nihilist. And our final selection today is The Least of Us, True Tales of America and Hope in the Time of Fentanyl and Meth by Sam Quinones. Quinones' Dreamland was as powerful as any portrait of America in the throes of an opioid epidemic. Now with his follow-up, he examines the aftershocks of the mass fentanyl production and the rock-bottom meth prices, two developments that have further torn at the fabric of so many communities. The epidemic is still raging, and the author urges, as new evolutions are particularly insidious, leading to even more overdoses, homelessness, mental illness, and devastated families. His book offers a few glimmers of hope, but the fight is bleak and ongoing, and it's going to take a dedicated community to fix it. We have a couple of new podcasts out on the Compliance Podcast Network I'd like to tell you about. The first is Hidden Traffic, where host Gwen Hassan looks at modern slavery and human trafficking. Gwen is well known in the compliance community for her passion around this topic, and she brings that passion to this new podcast. Also, I have a podcast on presidential leadership lessons for the business executives. What can business executives learn from the now 46 presidents, and how can you incorporate those into your business and leadership strategies going forward? This is appropriate for the CEO, the CCO, the CFO, or anyone else who's in a leadership position. Also, I ran a 5-part series on understanding Lyme disease. So if you've known anyone who's been afflicted by this, or if you've been afflicted, I know you'll find this an incredibly important series. Check it out on the Compliance Podcast Network, the podcast Greeting and Felicitations.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.